Ladies and gentlemen, I'm taking my stand-up comedy show Roleplay on tour across Northern Ireland this summer. Starting May, going through June to July. I'm starting off this Friday night, the 10th of May and the 11th of May in the Lyric Theatre in Belfast. Then next week, I'm heading across to Antrim on the 18th. I've got all the tour dates here. I'll just run through them real quickly. 18th of May in the Courthouse in Antrim. And then in June, I'm in Portaferry. I've been correctly told it's not Ards, it's Portaferry at the Portico on the 8th of June. The 14th, we're at the Ardoin in Enniskillen. The 15th in Daly's in Omagh. The 16th, we're in Brickwork in Derry. The 21st, we're in the Marketplace in Armagh. 22nd, we're in the Braid in Ballymena. Then into July, the 4th of July, for any Americans out there, we are in the Terrace, Marifelt. The 5th of July, we're in Kiwis and Portrush in the North Coast. The 12th of July, are we taking a break? No. We're heading to Strabane to the Boiler Room. And then last but not least, we're finishing the show on the 13th of July at the Church Arts Centre in the Old Church, should I say, Arts Centre in Cushendun. Tickets are available now. You can follow the link in the description of this podcast and get on them soon. A lot of the tickets have gone pretty well. Some need a wee bump, i.e. Antrim, but Ardoin, but anywhere else is doing pretty well. So thank you to anyone who's bought tickets so far, and I can't wait to see you on tour. The SLY Guy podcast is on Patreon. The Patreon over there is supporting the growth of the podcast. Now, things at the minute, we're on a wee bit of a We're in a wee bit of a transitional period. We're switching things over from the old look of the SLY Guy podcast into the new look. So very soon these curtains, these drapes will be removed and the new studio will be presented for all you guys. And that's all the guys on Patreon who have allowed that to happen. So thanks to everybody that is on Patreon already. And if you want to get over there, there's an archive of old podcasts. There's litanies of vlogs. There's everything else that you want. If you enjoy this podcast, you just go to patreon.com/SLY Guy podcast or follow the link in the description. There are big things coming and you want to get in there soon. That was creepy, but more. The SLY Guy podcast is brought to you in association with Modest Beer. Modest Beer are the champions. They are the beer of beers. They're the tastiest beer. They're made locally. What else is better than a local beer that's from right here? And there you go. They're not even paying me to write slogans for the company, but I do it anyway every week in this podcast. If you want to know more about Modest Beer other than just what I'm telling you, you can head to their website, www.modestbeer.co.uk, where you can see all the range of the beers that they have, all the range of the merch that they have. You can also sign up to receive in your email the Modest Beer Brews letter, which is like news, but they switch brews because beer is... You want to get that, you head over to their website, you subscribe to their brews letter, you get to keep up to date with all things Modest. And then when you're hitting the checkout, you're like, you know what, I like this, but it's cost of living crisis, things are a little bit tough. You want a discount? SLYPA15, tell them Davey sent you, don't worry about it. Modest Beer. Okay.
I'm the SLY Guy.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the SLY Guy podcast. How is everybody in the world doing, wherever you're listening to this, whatever, maybe watching it? You know, this is the thing that I always forget about. The podcasts are no longer just what podcasts were originally. They're like little chat shows, aren't they? They're like little conversations, little moments in time captured for people to watch on their tellies, which shows the advancement, because YouTube used to just be phones, computers. Whoa, I'm an old guy. But nowadays, everyone's watching it. It's a good time. And listen, wherever you're getting it, I hope you're feeling well. I just wanted to come straight off the bat and say I am feeling good. We have got to the other side of the Belfast Marathon. Team 1L Studios went and we ran the relay. We did it for the NI Hospice and it's over. It's in the rear view mirror and we did it. We succeeded. We got over the line. It was fun. Let's not lie. It was enjoyable. However, it was not easy, I would say. As a man whose 6-year-old daughter was told in advance your dad is running a marathon, responded sincerely by saying, I didn't know Daddy could run. That shows you where we're at. But we did it. We got through it, and it was an unbelievable experience overall. The team did great, I must say. In terms of getting over the line to win the medals, the boys carried me. Not literally, but figuratively speaking. I was a slow coach, but got over the line, did it. You know, it was one of those weird things at the very outset. If you'd gone back to December time and gone, would you have run in the marathon? I'd have gone 0%. 0%. But we got there. It's a good achievement. It's a nice wee feather in the cap, and I'm really chuffed. we've succeeded with raising the amount of money that we wanted to do for the NI Hospice. The link to donate, if you haven't donated and you wish to, is going to be active now until Friday, so I'll be there until tomorrow. So if you want to head on over and donate even a little amount, it really, really helps. A great cause it is, the NI Hospice. So I appreciate that. It was a fun experience. It was a beautiful day for running a marathon. I certainly am very relieved to be over it, to be honest. It was one of those things that I knew going into it was not going to be one of my strong suits, because here's the thing, I'm too heavy. I've got knees, I can't cope with it. And although I've lost a bit of weight from the turn of the year, still lots to go. So the fact that I got through it, I'm delighted with myself. And it was just actually more fun experience than I thought it was going to be. Obviously, I fell during the marathon, so if any of you guys in the Ormer Road saw me fall, please keep that to yourselves. And if you have any video footage, never let it see the light of day. But that was an embarrassing moment, probably one of the most embarrassing moments of my whole entire life. But listen, it's for a good cause, and that's the reason. And again, anyone looking to do something that pushes you outside your comfort zone, give it a rattle. Do you know what I mean? Because you can. I think people it's too often not. It's easy to just go nah to something, isn't it? It's easy to go, I don't want to do it. I can't do it. I can't do whatever. I can't run, but somehow managed to get through a leg of the marathon. So anything's possible. I just think that it's pushing your comfort zones is a key thing to do, and that's, if there's anything I've learned out of it, that's it. You got to push yourself a little bit to do things that you don't want to do, things that make you uncomfortable, because then in the end, afterwards, you feel a real sense of accomplishment when you do it. And the build up to it was great too. The team, big shout out to Dan, Fosty, James McKegney, Darren Matthews, the boys did unbelievable. The build up to it was great crack. See, doing it as part of a team, really good fun. It all got us a little bit fitter, got us a wee bit more sort of tuned in, and had a goal to work towards, which I think's a big thing. If I'm speaking to anybody about anything in life, and you're finding any struggles, which let's be fair, we all have it. We all have sometimes times where it's difficult to get yourself going. You know what I mean? It's hard to work towards something. I'm a master procrastinator. Like, I for many a year would have argued. I'd be like, how dare you say this? I procrastinate, please. Until one moment, Catherine caught me doing something, and I was like, yeah, I've been scooped here. I was sitting on the laptop beside her. We were watching something on the TV. I was working. I had a deadline to get something finished, working, and I was getting stressed out about not getting work done. I was like, fuck, there's so much work to do here. I'm getting nowhere with it. And she was like, you're not working. And I was like, bitch, please, excuse me. What do you think this is? And she goes, look at your screen. I went, She goes, look at your screen. And I looked at my screen, and I was like, yes. She goes, what's that got to do with work? And I was like, what's what got to do with work? What are you looking at? And I looked, and I was like, Robert Mugabe. And she went, yeah, what's Robert Mugabe got to do with your work? And I was like, well, nothing. She goes, why are you looking Google images of Robert Mugabe? And I just said to her, well, I just wanted to see what he was up to. Now, this is obviously before he died, because it would be really weird if I just wanted to know. But she's like, not only are you looking at photos of him, you're 8 pages into the Google image search. Like, you're not just, wonder where he's at. You're deep in it. I was like, well, I guess I do procrastinate then, don't I? Fuck. So after that moment, I had to try to focus my mind a bit better on things, and I find to have a target to work towards always helps. So having this to work towards, albeit it was just like an impending sense of anxiety to get over the line, but we got there. It's done, and now my thought was that was the end of it. I never want to ever run again. But having done it, I now want to shift some more weight and keep on running. Try and keep on going, and then do it again next year, and hopefully be faster and fitter and sustain a run for longer. That's the plan. But the whole experience was great. Big shout out to everybody that did it, everyone who's gone. And you know what? See, if you're doing a marathon, big respect. But see, if you're doing it for a charity and a good cause, even better, bigger respect to you. And I really appreciate everyone who's done that. Everyone that has their reasons for doing anything. It's an unbelievable undertaking, whether it's a marathon you're doing, whether it's the full route, whether it's a leg, whether it's a walking marathon. There's people in wheelchairs on like bikes, and I mean, fair play to anybody that gets out of their pit and undertakes something. It's worth doing. And like, if people want to be a wee dick about you and be like, oh, you're only doing this, you're still doing something, aren't you? You're putting the money where the mouth is, and you're quite literally raising money. So fair play to everyone that did it. I'm delighted we did it. That being said, sore feet now blisters definitely. Did I wake up the night of the run a few times during the night and think I broke my foot. Yes, but it turns out I had a wee condition called plantar fasciitis, which basically means you've strained some sort of tendon at the bottom of your foot, which I translate to being you're putting too much weight through that foot of yours too often, so lose weight, Big Davy. So that's the plan now, moving on from the marathon, is to try and keep myself fighting fit, especially with going on tour. That's another thing. It's starting this weekend, Friday night. I keep saying Saturday because it feels like it's starting on Saturday, but it starts on Friday in the Lyric. I'm in 2 nights in the Lyric, darling, in the theatre, because obviously, as regular listeners will know, I'm a serious actor, and that's what serious actors do, perform in the theatre. Now, am I going to bring a lowbrow, toilet humour filled show into a place where the likes of I don't know, can't even think of tremendous actors offhand because I'm just so obsessed that I can only think about myself. Are you going to be in a place where the works of Shakespeare performed? Yes, there you go. I'm so disrespectful. I can't think of a really talented local actor. I'll tell you why I can't, because only motherfucker whose name I can get in my head, Sir Ian McKellen, and I know he's not from here. Van Morrison, there you go. Van Morrison will be there. Maybe not, I don't know, shut up. But the tour starts there, then I'm in Antrim the next week, which, by the way, Davey doesn't have a big fan base in Antrim. So if you're an Antrim person, you know anyone in the Antrim region, if you know anyone landing in their airplane, you're like, I have a few hours to kill in between flights, get yourself down to the old courthouse and come and see my show on the 18th of May. It'll be a good time. But this is why this week's podcast isn't a brand new episode. This is why this week's episode of the Sly Guy podcast is a vintage episode. It's a classic which has been pulled from the bookshelves of the Patreon exclusive podcast. Now, we did a series of guest episodes on Patreon back when I just did solo episodes here. So this is, I think, one of the best episodes of the Sly Guy podcast by far. Now, I need to caveat that by saying, if you're watching it, yes, this was probably a couple of years ago. Yes, I have full set of hair. A full head of hair, not a full set of hair. That'd be weird. But a full head of hair, I look younger and fresher. And also, the only good thing about that is that the entire way through the episode, my face is covered by a microphone. So yes, I look sweet in it, and I look younger and healthier and fitter and better, but you can't see my face. So if you're listening to this via audio only, you'll have a great time. However, you'll miss the big surprise at the end of the podcast. So what I would say to do is, don't worry too much about my face being covered. Just watch my guests, and then at the end you'll see the glorious surprise, which is me shitting myself on a podcast, not literally but figuratively speaking. So it's worth watching. But this week's episode was my guest episode with none other than David and Joe from Hawkwalks NI. For people who are going, that's pretty random, Dave, what is Hawkwalks NI? Hawkwalks NI is a falconry experience. Hawkwalks! That's my falcon impression. For anyone who doesn't know, falcons are big, scary birds. But Dave and Joe have trained these birds into being entertainment machines. These are wild predators who know a thing or two about birds. No, and so they're wild predators who Dave and Joe have trained into being unbelievable athletes, like myself. Like these guys are these birds are athletes like me. And Hawkwalks NI offers brilliant experiences. You can do hikes with the hawks. You can go and see them. You can do tricks. It's well worth doing. Go to their website. It's in the description of the video, and book yourself a falconry experience. Go and see these hawks in action. Go for a hike with a hawk, and you will literally have a moment to remember for the rest of your life, like I did when I got to meet Loki towards the end of this episode. So guys, again, thanks for bearing with us, sticking with us. It's been a busy old week, and I appreciate it. But yeah, I just wanted to jump on, give you the lowdown of what was happening, say thank you to everybody that has donated to the NI Hospice as part of our marathon team. Again, this link will expire on Friday, so if you want to be quick and donate a couple more pounds to the link, please do. It goes to a great cause, and it was well worth it. So guys, thank you very much for the support so far, and please enjoy this week's episode of the Sly Guy podcast with myself and David and Joe from Hawkwalks NI. So guys, welcome to the podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For coming on. I did an introduction there, so it's weird. What has happened is I'll have done this, then I'll at the end go back in time as opposed to be what's after this before, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm a bit stressed, because he told me something that stressed me out a little bit. But
I've seen the sweat start.
yeah,
to
I know
bubble
the
in your
sweat.
brow.
It just started, but we're okay. You're looking around going, this is Joe and David from Hawkwalks NI, and you're looking around probably watching this going, is there hawk? No. I've said no hawks at all. Promise.
No promises.
No promises, right?
Well, no, it's not a hawk.
It's not a hawk.
Well, there you go.
Promise you it's not
As
a
long as
hawk.
there's not a
Promise
hawk,
there's no hawks.
that's okay. I'll be fine. But we can bring something in later. We'll see how it goes. For now, I feel confident.
Good.
Anyway, but listen.
Hope it lasts.
Yes, so do I. Well, thanks anyway for coming in, first of all.
Yeah.
To start now, again, I've said to you beforehand, there's a lot of pressure here, mainly from my wife.
Yeah.
Because she was the one that recommended getting you in. So for anyone that doesn't know, Hawkwalks NI, what's it about?
It's an experience program that we started 4 years ago, just coming
Yep.
up to 4 years ago. It's about birds of prey, so getting people introduced into nature again.
Okay.
I think especially over COVID and that whole lockdown situation, everybody was buying a dog. I think
Yes.
dog market went up. Everybody's getting rich off bulldogs now. Everybody's
That's my
wanting dog.
sideline.
Yeah. But it was about people getting back out into nature. So I think we had a really nice
Yeah.
time where people were wanting to get back in and connect with nature again. I suppose birds of prey was a forte that we had, so it worked.
And was that something then that, in terms of COVID, were you in business before COVID started?
just
or?
before?
Right, okay.
Just before, which was a panic station.
Right, so how then did you then, was it something you did like as a hobby at the start, or was it?
So I started falconry 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I was one of the kids that was just fishing around the rivers all day, loving nature. Seen a buzzard come down, take a rabbit for the first time, and I ran the whole way home, burst down the door to my mum. Mom, there's an eagle down the river path. There's an eagle down the river path. It was the size of this room,
Buzzing?
Yeah, no, buzzard, not
Oh,
buzzard.
because I was going to say, if I saw that, I would have stood there and gone, oh no,
Shocked.
they're coming for us.
But no, she got me a bird of prey book, started looking at birds of prey in a different light, started photography, and then got into falconry when I was
Right,
about
okay.
20, 21. But it never was a business until 4 years ago. I was stuck in an office environment looking after,
Right, okay.
warehouse environment, and lorry drivers, and it
Yeah.
just drove me insane. And I needed out back into nature again. My wife Jo, she says, look,
Yeah.
go back to what you love, do something you love, you never work again.
Because that's what I think is an interesting thing, because for me, whenever I sort of started to having guests
Yeah.
on the podcast, it was at the time when I kind of just took the jump from the day job into doing comedy full time. So it's always interesting to speak to people to know what was the moment that made you
Yeah.
go from maybe a hobby into being a business, and what was that moment?
I suppose it was near
The moment is probably the fact that I have always lived my life where I've just done the job that I've loved.
Mhm.
So to me,
Yeah.
life is actually for living,
Yeah.
and your work is actually very important in life. And if you can enjoy it, then that's kind of half
Joe's
of
a-
your life.
Jo was a huge
Yeah.
impact on
Yeah.
it. She was a dancer by trade, travelling the world,
Yeah.
and I could see the joy she had out of life as a whole. You know what I mean? Not just when she came home and away from the work and packed at 5 o'clock and come into the kids and
Yeah.
the family. She just loved life, and I wanted a piece of that. So doing something I enjoyed like falconry was the next step. So that's when we started.
And so for the job you're doing, you said you were working in a warehouse
Yeah.
at the time. So did you start something maybe like as a hobby to begin with? Were you doing something like the shows? you
Well,
were
we
doing?
started doing the hawk walks, which
Yeah.
was just with one species, the bird, the Harris hawk, and it's a very personal interaction with the bird of prey. So
Yeah.
we started doing that at the weekends, and it was normally friends and family, and we were doing that,
Yeah.
and getting them to advertise it for us, by saying, look, we've done this, put pictures up on social media, and it snowballed really
Yeah.
quickly.
But there was also a lot
Yeah.
of information David was even telling me that I never understood about birds.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always liked birds and I've loved nature.
Yeah.
Never understood. And the more stories he told me about them, I always said to him, you need to tell that to clients, because
Yeah.
actually that's something that's really interesting that I've never known about. So it creates a lovely story throughout.
Yeah.
Yeah, and whenever
You were the
you
birds?
met for the first time, you were obviously into the birds
I
at that
wasn't
stage.
at the time.
No.
I gave it up for 2 years.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I
Gave
was
up
going
for
to
2
say,
years.
I always imagine like the first stage of, when you go to someone's house, like
Yeah.
we were saying, were you going to his house and you just had like
Birds.
birds like in the aviary everywhere? Is it?
No, at the start,
Yeah.
that was a stage where I gave up falconry for about 2 or 3 years,
Mhm.
just because of work commitments. I had to give up
Yeah.
falconry, and giving it up probably was a huge part of
Yeah.
missing something. It was like a piece
Yeah.
of you.
Yeah.
It was like somebody taking away comedy for
Yeah,
you.
see, that's
you
I
know?
think that's on a similar level. That was probably what lockdown was a wee bit.
Yeah.
You know, because I think for me at the start of it, I quickly went, well, I'm not going to be able to do stand-up, so what else can I do? So I think that's when I started doing more in lines of the podcast and with like writing things. So that's what sort of made me do the leap, was I got a few things in development written wise. So that's kind of how that happened.
And when you have a niche of something like that there, it's easy to talk about.
Yeah.
It's easy to be a self-advertisement.
Yeah.
Go, this is how I live, this is what we do, this is what we enjoy, this is what our passion is.
And again, for something that I'm interested in, like when you say falconry, how does it start as like a hobby? When do you get the birds involved? How do you get birds, and how do you like do you go to a fella and be like, mate, you have birds?
Can I get one of them?
Yeah.
It's a huge commitment to start with. You know, like it's 24/7. It's Christmas Day. We're up feeding, watering birds, looking after them, weighing them, making sure they're all healthy. So it's a huge commitment to start with.
It's more of a lifestyle.
It is
than a job.
Yeah. But years ago, you're talking 15 years ago, 16 years ago, I was into photography, and a guy came and said, "Look, would you mind taking pictures of my birds?"
Yeah.
So went and took a few pictures of his hawks, and you know, I had a big camera lens and I was standing at the bottom of the hill waiting for this bird to be released, and it was chasing a rabbit. It was a hunting day. And this goshawk came off down the hill, and it was chasing her up 2 inches behind its backside, twisting left and right. It missed it, it veered off, went back up the hill, and he looked down and he goes, "Well, did you get any good pictures?" And I was like, just totally blown away by the whole situation. So I pestered that fella every weekend. You know, he said, "Be at my house at 9 o'clock on a Saturday or Sunday." I was there at 8:30.
Yeah.
Looking at his bedroom window, looking like a creep, waiting
With
for
the
him to
camera.
wake up. With the camera. Waiting for him to wake up and let me learn more about it, you know. So it was a huge passion.
And was it like a fascination with them, or was it like, were you ever afraid of the birds?
No, never afraid. There's some species now that I still you have to show respect, not fear, but a lot of respect.
And see, in terms of the ones that, like, because I've seen some of the videos that you have to, like, with when they go like between legs and everything, and you have people just you wait there, and I don't know how, because the natural reaction would be like to try and like.
No, it's working with a client. So when a client stands like this, and the bird's about to go through there about 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Just before the bird gets to him, when the bird's about 20 feet coming in at 40 miles an hour, you whisper in his ear, "If you move, he'll take your eye out." Right. And they stay still. For whatever reason, they freeze.
Yeah, like fight or flight. It's the awkward moment. They go, "What'd you say?" And it's
no, it's the one where you say, "Look, it's only went wrong once."
Yeah. And where's that person? Rest in peace. You know?
Oh, there can be accents. Like
yeah,
I can remember the guy that actually taught me falconry. You obviously have a glove.
Yeah.
You know, the glove is a leather gauntlet, and that's where the bird eats, and that's where it gets its meat, and whatever meat's in there belongs to that bird. So when you go to the toilet when you're out in the middle of a field, you need to remember to take the glove off.
Oh, no. So when you say that, did the bird get any meat?
It did. So I said to him at the time, "It was a good job you know how to play the flute."
Yeah.
Being from Northern Ireland helped, you know.
Yeah. Oh.
You need to be able to hold that with covering the holes in places.
And how did he react? And how did you react to that?
Well, I wasn't there, thankfully.
Because I was going to say, like, you know, obviously if there's a bleed, you have to put pressure on it. That's an awful scenario. He's like,
I wouldn't be putting any pressure on it. No, so accidents can happen, but it's about, you know, we're out with clients, and thankfully, touch wood, we've never had an incident, you know, with clients at all.
Yeah.
Just in case.
And it's just about, you're working with a bird of prey, you know, they sharp hook talons and sharp feet, so you just have to be sensible with them, show the respect that they need, you know. And
I went to play some holidays there, Wild Ireland, when we were over in Donegal, and they had like a lot of animals that, I think they're spoofing a wee bit, right? Because some of the things they said are like, all these animals were native to Ireland, and then you go and see them, like, we're bears and wolves, and you go, nah. And the guy running it was like, my dream is to one day remove the walls from Wild Ireland. And the only thing I could think was, what about the fella that owns a cottage up a road? He's just gonna, you know, it's like
a grizzly bear going by his window in the morning.
I must say, I do love animals, and bears especially, because I just think, like, I saw a thing of a guy had found a dead bear in the woods, like one day, and he'd held up its paw, and it was like, you never realise how big
they are.
They are until you actually see something like that in another fella's hand. And with the birds, I think that some birds of prey there as well that were kept in their but you're just going, imagine they were just released. Like, are there birds that are like dangerous birds of prey that are native to here?
So this is what we talk about. So we have 2 golden eagles at home.
Like the American symbol of, or is that
the golden eagle?
Right. Okay.
So about the same size as the bald eagle, And they're indigenous. They used to, 1969 was the last breeding pair in Ballycastle. Forehead.
I mean, of course, the hub of
Eagles, the hub of Eagles, Ballycastle. Go for an ice cream and a stick of rock. But they were there in 1969 was the last breeding pair there.
That's actually where I got my dog from too, Ballycastle. So yeah, it's a hub of animals.
The hub of animals.
Yeah.
But they were wiped out altogether until a gentleman called Lorcan introduced them in the Glenveigh National Park up in Donegal.
Right, okay.
And in 2007. So there was a breeding programme now. There were 40 Scottish eagles, I think, came over from Scotland. The Highlands of Scotland, they were brought over to Glenveigh National Park, and 20 of them headed straight back to Scotland again. So they didn't like the accent, or they wanted to wear a kilt, one of the two.
Yeah.
But they headed straight back home again. The rest of the 20 stayed, and they provided a good breeding stock of eagles, Then you have the Mull of Kintyre and an Isla on the west coast of Scotland.
Yes.
But we are the motorway between the two.
Right,
so we have golden eagles in Northern Ireland. And they're 6 foot wingspan, they're
big,
huge.
Big.
But we do
birds.
try to explain to people they do not come down and eat your children. A lot
Or
of those
take your
videos,
dogs or-
Yeah, because
a lot of those videos are really.
Yeah, you
fake.
see this
They're
toddler son of the side of the hill on an eagle coming down and lifting it and taking off.
Because if I knew where the birds were bait, I would bring my kids, I think, and just be like, just go and get
If it
them.
was an incident with nature, what can you do?
It's the way it's supposed to be. But that's the thing. Is I think if you see, because I think we saw one, maybe a kestrel once when we were I think we're at maybe some National Trust place anyway, and I thought. Oh, my first reaction was, oh no, it'll get me. Like, I take it they just ignore humans, but we think they're
totally, like even the golden eagles, we've had,
Yeah.
we're very lucky, we live just outside Ballyclare, and there's a huge hill opposite us, and it's a highlight of, one of the most populated areas for hares in Ireland. So it's like a moving buffet across the ground.
They're like,
and the motorway of, between Scotland and Glenveigh is up there, and they're looking down with, they can spot their meal 2.5-3 miles away.
Yeah.
When they're looking down, seeing that, they're coming down. So they're in County Antrim. We've spotted, a couple of golden eagles up in the hills in County Antrim over the last few years.
But they don't want to be near us.
Yeah. And then how do you go from them just being about flying, eating hares to getting them? I don't want to use the word domesticated because clearly you can't domesticate birds of prey. But how do you get them then to own them? Like, where do you get them from? Do you buy them off someone?
So we've a breeder down in the south in Kilkenny that we get a lot of our harris hawks off because they're a very personable, easy-going hawk. It's the same as a dog. Some people will only buy a dog off for a certain breeder because they know they have a certain temperament.
Yeah.
So we do the same, but we've had birds from Scotland, England, Wales, and Ireland. But they're all captive bred. They're not wild birds.
Okay.
They're captive bred, deliberately bred for the purpose of falconry.
Yeah.
We have a few rescue birds. But all in all, they're mostly captive bred. But for the purpose of falconry.
And see what actually in layman's terms is falconry. So say you're explaining it to somebody what.
So the art of falconry is the actual falconry is catching your food with a trained bird of prey.
Right. Okay.
So what we do is falconry based, but it's more handling and flying of birds of prey. Most of what we do is going out there with clients and letting them enjoy the company of the bird and the bird flying free, coming back to their glove to fist, or watching the likes of a peregrine falcon coming past them at 120 miles an hour,
Yeah, because that's like I say, when my wife saw it, she was like, "This is amazing." Like, it's just you need to see it. And again, I think there's that sick thing in her where she's like, I need to also see you seeing this because you're, I'd be a scaredy cat about anything like that. So she's like, I need to watch you just being terrified for a minute. But like, see when you get them,
She may get her wish.
I know. Listen, I'm not with it. Like, but I think with that too. Like, do you ever have them and you were like, nah, they won't be good for the people? Like, do you ever have one like bird and you're like, they need to just stay in
but
they need to stay in
ones
the barn?
they're the ones that I enjoy myself because they're the ones that goshawks.
Yes.
I always said that if I didn't have a goshawk, Joe would be my goshawk because they're the ones that are hard to work with.
I do take it as a compliment.
Hard to
Sincerely.
understand, hard to tame.
Yeah.
They're quite a tenacious bird.
And what sort of size are they, or what sort of are the range? I want to know the range of sizes.
Ranges of sizes. So the goshawk's medium sized. About that from foot to head, tail and all. You're talking about that length.
Yeah.
But we have from a little owl that weighs less than your mobile phone, 160 grams.
Yeah.
She weighs.
She's only
this
she's
height,
about this.
to a golden eagle that's maybe
Right.
this
'cause
height with a 6 foot wingspan.
you were looking at me there like as if to go. It's about your size. You can just have one sitting.
You can handle a big
boys.
bird. You can handle a big bird.
Well, I know. Well, in my past, I'm a happily married man now. So But I think like it always fascinates me how, like, you know, you can have the animals that are wild and tame. Like my dog, for example,
Yeah.
when we got him, I was very particular and pernickety about having a dog because
Yeah.
we just had another baby, and then when I met my wife Catherine, she had a Shih Tzu called Charlie, and I hated him. Like, see, at the start when I first met him, I was like, and he knew. You know, whenever I went in, he was like, oh, you know, he looked at me like, you son of a bitch, don't you think about taking her? Sort of thing. And like the first time she would work nights, she's a nurse, and there's a few times where she would just go on to work, and I said, where's Charlie? And she'd be like, oh, he's just out in the kennel, and this sort of weather. I was like, maybe leave
you
him.
start to feel bad.
Yeah, leave him around to me. You can, you know, drop him in your way to work and come and get him before I get home. The first day I got him in, he just walked into my house and just jumped up on the sofa and just looked at me. And I was like, you alright? And he just was like, you know, he just didn't like me at all. I said, right, come on to the toilet. So I brought him down the toilet, let him out the back, and he just stood in the garden, looked at me, came into the house, closed the door, just pissed all over the floor. And I was like, I know you're doing
Marking
that,
the
you know,
territory.
for badness. And then when he went to bed, the same night, he put him, she's like, he likes to sleep in bed with you. And I went, no, it's not going to happen. Because he stank as well, like, you know, he's rotten, me thing. And she's like, put the bed at the bottom of your bed and he'll sleep there. And then I woke up in the middle of the night and he's headbutted me. He jumped up the bed and he's headbutted me. I was like, what are you doing? And he's walking up and down and he wanted me to lift the duvet. And as soon as I like moved and the duvet opened, he's just straight under like a shot. So I knew he was up. And eventually, like, we won each other around and we became, you know, but I knew he was. So like, yeah, I loved him when he died. I was, you know, I must be honest, heartbroken. But I said to her, look, we shouldn't get another dog. So we just had a baby. And then she went, you may as well, because it's not going to get more rough than this anyway. So I went, right, okay. So we got a dog, went to the Ballycastle to get the dog, and the breeder had all the papers from him and his mum and dad and like all the whatever else. And I remember this, it was the weirdest thing. You know when someone says something to you, like just, you sort of go, and then you go, I don't know why I said that, but okay. He goes, you know, listen, dog's well bred, this is from a good line. He goes, he'll not pee in the house. You know, he's house trained, he'll be grand, he'll sleep in his crate, no problem.
Yeah.
And he goes, I shaved his arse for you as well. I remember going, like, and you know, you ask questions, like, I was like, but, and is there any reason? Like, was there
you want to feel as if, no, I know why you done that.
Yeah, because
you don't need to ask questions, so you go away and then wish you had your.
Yeah, but I said to him, like, why? Like, is there? And I'm thinking to myself, that's obviously there's a reason for that. That must just be. And he goes, just looks better, mate. And I was like, all right, just there you go. And I'll be honest, I've not done it since. You know, I'm just and I think he would just like, because he got the snip there recently, and the look on his face. And whenever I went to get him, he was like, "You've done me. You have done me there." And is there any, like, in terms of their demeanours, the birds? Or do you see any of them and you go, like, they have personalities?
So many personalities.
Yeah.
Every one of them
Really?
have different personalities. You know, there's some comical birds like
Oracle being.
You know, Oracle. She's a Eurasian eagle owl,
Yeah.
one of the largest eagle owl species in the world. You know, she's sitting this height, 6 pounds in weight, and she was imprinted. So we got her at 7 days old, and she lived in the house with us for 11 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, we don't have all these birds. We've 20 odd birds at home. We don't have them all living in the house, but if they're a young bird, we'll bring them in the house for socialising.
Yeah.
So owls are very solitary, living in the wild.
Yeah.
These birds live till they're 70 years of age, have a bonded mate for life.
Yeah.
And you have to become that bonded mate.
Right, okay.
Because you want that bird to be sociable with you
Yeah.
and sociable and feel safe around clients. So, you know, a week old she came and she was this bundle of fluff about this height with 2 big silly feet and these massive eyes, and you wouldn't even know what animal she was, so much of this. So my dad, he walks in and, you know, he's, God love him, he's 70 years of age, and he walked down and went, why the hell did you buy a monkey? And I was like, it's not a monkey, Dad, it's an owl. You know, this thing sitting at the bottom of the stairs looking like a monkey. He thought it was some, you know, like woolly monkey that would go out of Belfast Zoo. But it's all about socialising, you know, and that bird was running about. By 2 weeks old, she was walking about the place. Yeah. By 3 weeks old, she had got a foot fetish. You know, she just wanted to chase bare toes. Yeah. Anything toes related, she loved it. Yeah. Later on, she then made best friends with her husky. You know, we have a husky dog. She's 10 years of age. 3 other dogs live out the back because they are a wee bit more robust. She's getting old, arthritis. So she lives in the kitchen. And there's a baby gate between the kitchen and the hall, and the bird was staying in the hall for this period of time. As soon as she learned to jump over the baby gate, we thought, right, we need to get these introduced and see how they get on. And they got on great. House on fire, best buds, slept in the dog bed together. Until she was about, 10 weeks old? Yeah. We came in, opened the door, and the fluff and the fur was meeting us at the door, and I was like, oh shit, something's went wrong. Ran down into the hall, opened the baby gate. There she was, lying in the middle of all this fur, in the middle of the kitchen. Dog nowhere to be seen. I started panicking looking for the dog. Eventually found the dog underneath the kitchen table. And I was like, "Are you alright?" She looked at me as if to say, "That's a lunatic."
Yeah.
The fur was thankfully the dog bed, not the dog.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So she's sitting there happy as Larry, thought she was great. Other things she done, like Joe came down the stairs in a leopard print dress.
Oh.
It doesn't sound disastrous, but it was.
A leopard is the #1 predator of a Eurasian eagle in
Yeah.
Asia, so
Oh.
this is how undomesticated they are. They all have this wild instinct, to know what's what.
Yeah.
Joe came down in a leopard print dress, didn't speak or talk to her or work with her for about 4 months.
Yeah, about 4
Would not
months.
work with her. So they all have their wee, bits and pieces. You know.
Yeah, and when you say imprinted, that's because the only time I've heard that term was in the movie Twilight.
Twilight.
So what does that mean? Like when you
So the imprinting process. Oh, you're going to get me into breeding here in a wee
Okay,
second
listen,
as well.
listen, this is
where it gets
my audience
funky.
like,
This
yeah.
is where it gets funky.
Yeah.
So imprinting is the process of making that bird believe it's part of your family.
Right,
So an
okay.
imprint bird actually grows up thinking it's 6'2" and 15.5 stone.
like Mowgli,
Yeah,
essentially, right?
pretty
okay.
much like a wolf cub.
Yeah.
So the likes of falcons, you would do the imprinting process so you could maybe cross different species
Okay.
through artificial
Right, okay.
insemination.
Yeah.
This
I
is an
get you.
interesting part.
So it's like breeding at the sort of.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Now we would imprint our owls because they
Yeah.
have a better social dynamic with people.
Yeah.
They're not scared. We have partially imprinted Harris hawks, and that's so we can fly them at higher weights and they're healthier and things
Yeah.
like that. You don't have to reduce weight to want them to want to come back for food. It's about a bond as well. So you have a better bond with a bird too. But the breeding side of things is you imprint them for them. They will think you're the parent for the first couple of years.
Right. Okay.
They'll hit maturity and they'll think you're their partner.
Oh no.
Yeah. This is where it gets good. If you ever see somebody with a rubber hat,
Okay.
a wide brimmed rubber hat with wee divots in it,
Yeah.
that's for collecting the bird's semen.
Right.
So
Okay.
you walk into your horny meal, and that bird will jump up onto your head and will start screaming, flapping his wings, and donate its semen on top of your head because you're its partner.
Right. Okay.
You'll,
So are these hats? They're designed specifically.
yeah,
Or
right,
shoes.
for this or shoes.
Okay, because I
Some
wasn't
of
sure
them have
whether
foot
just
fetishes as well.
people just going to the races or something. Oh.
You'd walk into the female and she'd be pretty much lifting her skirt
Yeah.
with all her feathers up, showing her behind, and you would go and seminate the
Yeah.
female. So you have a cross between a gyr falcon and a peregrine falcon.
Right, okay.
You can get the best of both worlds of gyr falcon's very large falcon, peregrine's very fast one. You get a very large, fast
There
bird
you
of prey.
go.
So.
See that you learn something new every day. I love that. And see the oracle, was it the
Yeah.
the owl? Do owls fly to begin with, or because I have in my head like this weirdy
Sorry?
fluffy monkey
No.
penguin? No.
Not when they're very young.
So is that not one of the funniest things you're ever going to see? Just the way
Running about. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Oh, yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
are they quick? Like,
Oh,
can
they are.
move, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they
they
can
are
move.
really fast when you're trying to get your toes out of the way.
Yeah. Like
Because
we-
her feet's always huge.
No,
Yeah.
the little owl that we had, she was brilliant for spiders. See,
Yeah.
see if you want rid of spiders around
Yeah.
your house. Little owls are great.
Yeah. And
This
moths.
time of year, the
Yeah.
way you're getting tarantulas coming into the house. This
oh, some of them are beasts.
Yeah.
These.
well,
Yeah, she used to
the
run
little
out the
owl,
floor.
you can just hear this wee running across the floor. There's a spider, and the little owl was just darting here, there, and everywhere,
Yeah.
picking them up. So
And when they're that size and you're in the house, where did you sleep? Like up in a corner somewhere, or just on the floor?
normally we
On
have
top
a
of it?
purpose-made bed for them,
Yeah.
or create,
When they're so
um,
tiny, they are babies, so normally they'd be just sitting in the nest. So we normally buy, like, do you know the cat
Yeah,
igloos?
the cat igloos.
Yes.
So
for
we
a
normally
smaller
put them in
species,
there.
Yeah.
something
Yeah, for
like
the
that.
for the little owl we bought with
This
like a
sounds
wee
really
igloo.
cute, but they make
Yeah.
terrible pets.
Yeah.
They are not pets.
No, they're not.
Because
That's something we really have
you have
to.
the likes of Eurasian eagle owl. Her feet are nearly the size of my hands. They're huge,
Yeah.
with very powerful sharp talons.
Yeah.
And if a child will go in, and the first thing a child wants to do is grab a toy, give it to a pup, and go,
Yeah.
no, you're not having it, and play with it.
Yeah.
You do that to an owl, they're going to think, why are you taking a hand at me?
Yeah.
I've got talons.
Have one of this.
Yeah.
They can get quite vicious
Yeah.
and quite territorial, or they can get a bit aggressive. So you need to understand the mindset of a bird before you bring
Yeah.
them anywhere near a family member.
Because I do think owls are a bit freaky, aren't they? Like if you don't know an owl, like you look at them and go, like I remember we were, I think as it was again at Wild Ireland, we brought in,
Yeah.
I have a 5-year-old, or she's 4 now, but she's, I don't know, her birthday's soon anyway, she's 5, 4, whatever, she's one of those ages.
You will be in trouble.
I know. She's born December. I'm like, yeah, she's still 4. We brought her this place, and we went in and was like, oh look, there's the owl, and she was like, oh look, what's that, Daddy? And just looked around, just loads of dead mice, just loads on the ground. I was like, I think are they her friends? Yeah,
and they're sleeping. They're having a
they're just
sleepover.
having a
Love.
big sleep, but it was like you don't realise it because you think they're like all in like kids' books, like the Gruffalo. There's an owl in it, and you think it's cute, and then you're like, oh no, they're actually proper birds
Well,
of prey.
everybody,
It's like,
everybody thinks, when we're holding our experience, people will say, so do they all live together in a big barn?
Yeah.
And we're like, no.
yeah, like the animals of Farthing Wood. They're all just,
Yeah, because people have this lovely romantic nature that nature gets on with nature.
yeah,
But everything eats everything else. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, well, we always
have-
answer it with, well, the biggest bird is going to be really fat by the
Yeah.
end of it.
Yeah.
yeah. And is that something then? Like, where do you house them all then? What's
So
the
they're
sort
all
of-
individually housed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
they all
okay.
have free flight enclosures. So they come home from flying, and they normally, people expect them to go into
Yeah.
their free flight enclosure and just fly around all day. They
Yeah.
don't. They're like,
busted.
I'm
Yeah.
fed.
Yeah.
If I have food in my stomach, I'm sitting up here and I'm just chilling out.
Yeah, and do you ever let them just out to practice or anything, or do you have any just escaped?
We have had one red
Yeah, I
tail
know.
escape. Remember, red tail escape. He burst up through the roof of his netting, whatever there was a weak point in the netting, and he was out for 3 days. We were out talking to all the farmers, saying,
Uh-huh.
"Can you look out for this bird? It looks like a big buzzard.
Yeah.
This is how he looks." And no sight of him at all. 3 days later, I went round to feed the rest of the birds, and he was sitting above the tree above his mews, as
Yeah.
if to say, "Get me back in there,
Yeah.
please." I've had to hunt for my food for the last 3 days.
That's not for me.
You normally just hand me it.
Yeah.
So,
And was there a problem then there for your farms nearby? Was he the sort that might have caused issue with any of the animals?
no, he was pretty chilled, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Um,
he was actually lovely.
Like birds of prey will take wildfowl. They'll take
Yeah.
ducks. They'll take chicken. They'll take things like that. There,
But not like,
Um,
'cause apparently you hear rumours like there's a condor in Bolivia and it'll eat cows. It'll come down and just get a cow and off
and
it'll
left
go.
it off.
Yeah.
And you go, whoa,
Yeah.
best not go to Bolivia. Shit.
People say to me, "Could they not lift my toddler?" And you're
Yeah.
talking about a golden eagle, and I maybe have one of the eagles
Yeah.
like Zeus or Loki on the glove, and he's sitting there 6 foot wingspan. He looks imposing.
Yeah.
And I say, "No, that could definitely lift my child." And I said, "Look, I don't mean to be ignorant, but your child looks as if they weigh 5 stone, give or take.
Yeah.
This bird weighs 8 pounds.
Yeah.
It's not going to be able to lift a
Yeah.
5 stone child and fly off with it.
Do you ever have arguments with people like that where you're like, without trying to be rude, you're just like, well, I think I know. If people like, I
No,
think
do
I
you
know.
know, we're actually really quite fortunate, I think,
Our
because of
clients are great though.
they really
They-
are.
they
Yeah, and I think that whenever people hear us talking, they really take on board everything we're saying, and they will ask questions, but we really like that.
We had
Yeah.
one lady that came and she had a bag of birdseed with
Yeah,
her.
well, yeah. Well,
And she wasn't.
well, no, we did have.
And the rest of the family were standing behind her going, and she had this bag of birdseed, and she handed me, and she goes, "Look, I was really looking forward to this. I just can't wait." She says, "Here's a bag of bird food."
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Thank you very much." And I looked into it, and she goes, "Well, your birds like that?" And I says, "Yeah, the garden birds will love
Yeah.
that. Yeah." She goes, "But can you not feed the eagles it?" And I said, "No."
Yeah.
And the guy, her son, who was maybe 30 or 40, he says, "Told you, Mum, look,
Yeah.
forget about it. Please just put the birdseed in there and forget about it." She goes, "No, they can eat birdseed." And I said, "Well, they eat meat.
Yeah.
That's what makes a bird of prey." And I went to give her a glove 10 minutes later after
Yeah.
doing the health and safety discussion. I says, "Here's the glove." And she wouldn't take the glove. She fell out with me.
All right.
Because I wasn't going to feed my birds
Yeah.
the birdseed. So I was the only client I think that was
Yeah,
a wee bit
that's
funny.
very
about it.
Yeah, because I was just going to ask as well, because we sometimes have gigs that you go, oh no, it's like all war stories, and you think about it,
Yeah.
you're like, oh no, that was the worst. And obviously, again, touch wood, hopefully you've not had any, because like when you did the late night Streamville, sounds like it's a bit extra. When you did the late night one, are there anybody on like pints or anything like that, or you? Because I
There
imagine
wasn't that
would
night, I
not
don't
be-
think, was there?
Well, not that we noticed, I suppose.
No, but we've had like stag do's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had stag do's come out and hog walks. We have the
Yeah.
kids and the families and the dates and we've had a few first dates. We've
Yeah.
had
Oh wow.
we've had
Engagements.
engagements,
Weddings.
Yeah.
things like that. But we had stag do's and they were good fun.
Yeah, yeah, they're good.
Because there's nearly that bravado of I'm
Yeah.
not scared of these birds, and there's
Yeah.
there's grown men standing shoulder to shoulder, and there's this bird flying through between their heads,
Yeah.
and there's one that's screaming like a girl. It's great.
Yeah.
So there's that male bravado that you can really have good crack with too.
No, but it definitely is something that I think it's like anything. I'm always scared of something until I know about
just
it.
have
Do you know
to
what I mean?
face
It's
your
like,
fear, Dave.
and I remember my old job. I used to have to go and deal with people who had been committing antisocial behaviour, basically.
Yeah.
So I had to go there and be like, we've had a report of X, Y, and Z. I remember there was one. I went in the guy's house and the place stank of weed. You went in, you're like, oh wow, and it was like. You walked in, he was just wiped out. So we had reports. And I was sitting on the sofa, and he was like, "Mate, you know how it is and all." And I just felt this like
thing up beside me on the sofa, and I was like, what? And looked around, it was just a staffy. I jumped up on the sofa, and he was like in my face, he's going, and in my head I was going, he's going to eat me. He's going to eat my face. But I knew in that moment I had to try to be like, you know, I was like to tell this guy off, so I didn't want to be like, oh, so I had to be like, you know, and he was licking my face and all, and thankfully he didn't eat me. But in that moment I thought, this is it. But I had to, so I think like in my head I would get worried about it, but I think if I actually were to see one, I might be okay, or I might shit myself. But I think I might. It all depends. But I would like to see one day, I think.
I would say last year was kind of good for us. You know, people weren't being able to go foreign holidays, so a lot of people came in our experiences not necessarily for a huge interest out of birds of prey, but more just to do something different.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of people were like terrified of birds, and we're always going, anyone that comes to us and they're terrified, we go, birds of prey isn't something you normally work with. So there is a fear there for people. But once you get to work with them, but they still walk away terrified of pigeons. It seems to be the flapping.
It's the pigeons and the gulls that people are scared of.
Really scared of.
You know, not knowing what's going through their mind. Because when a pigeon comes off the floor, you don't know where it's flying.
Yeah.
When you're out with us, you're pretty sure of where the bird's going.
Yeah.
Well, I'm raging about a pigeon. I think I've told this story before. I found a pigeon in my back garden a good few years ago now. And do you ever see a bird and just go to yourself, that's a good looking bird. Like it looks, that's a way better.
No, if he said that, he'd be in trouble.
But like this one, you know, you're going, that's not just a regular pigeon, and whatever it was, I was like, that's. And I remember looking at it, and there was a cat just on the thing, going like, this is going to do me. Yeah. But the pigeon was just running about because it couldn't fly. I was like, there's something up here, so we went and chased the cat away, and I looked, and he had like a wee ring around his foot, and I was like, that's a nice pigeon here. There must be. Yeah. So I think, what do you do with pigeons? So I got my recycling box, you know, for the glasses, emptied it out and said, in you go, and gave him half a loaf. And then I rang one of my mum's mates who is part of a pigeon club, and he was like, right, I'll come and get him, and we can like look up the number and stuff and see. So went up, looked up the number. It was part of a pigeon. It was a racing pigeon by somebody who owned it over in Sunderland. Right. So he rang a guy came over in the boat to get the bird, because he's like, the wings are broke, but he was apparently like a real
good breeding bird, probably.
But he got him to breed. And I didn't even say thanks to me. And I get a couple of grand for those birds. I was like, could give me a tenner, you know, for fuck's sake.
But the pigeon men can be a funny bunch with us at times.
Yeah.
Because we fly peregrine falcons, obviously. And peregrine falcons hunt pigeons.
Is that what Kez was?
Kez was a kestrel.
Kestrel, right? Okay. Hence name, duh. Of course,
You know, we had, you know, there's like there's a place in the Mourne Mountains called the Hare's Gap. You may have heard of it.
Yes.
And the Hare's Gap, there's a real predominant nesting site of peregrine falcons up there. And they went to the bottom of that nesting site, and there's a picking post, and that's where the peregrine will chase and catch pigeons, and they'll bring back the pigeon to that picking post, strip the feathers off it, and then bring the rest of the body back to the nest, so the feathers aren't all over the nest. They're very cleanly.
Yeah,
very clean, aren't they? Very nice, so they went underneath the picking post of this nesting site, and they found thousands of pigeon rings.
Yeah.
Because that's where we've been picking them all apart, and there was just a pyramid of pigeon rings underneath this picking post. So the pigeon men were distraught over this, you know.
Yeah.
And I can remember we were doing an experience.
No, the guy himself took it.
Yeah, he took it very well.
He took it very well now.
But there was a family out, and you know, we were flying the birds, and this gentleman, he was enjoying the whole day, and we came to the last one and said, well, we're going to fly their last bird, and it's a peregrine falcon. And I could just hear the and I said, do you not like the peregrine falcon? He says, I'm a pigeon man. I says, right. And he says, they just destroy, you know, they're killers. And I says, well, look, they're probably doing you a favour. And he says, how do you reckon that? And I says, well, they're catching the slow ones. He says, see the ones they're catching, they weren't going to be your race winners anyway. Breed the ones that did come back, and the peregrine didn't catch. But no, he had good fun, didn't he?
He did.
He had a wee bit more respect for them when he seen them fly.
Yeah. The pigeon men are like, they're a different breed. Like, seeing them in your old job too. Like, and I again, with antisocial behaviour stuff, one of the things are, if you put up like structures, you don't have always pigeon huts, and you'd be going back, and then you'd be like, and I always hated doing it, because I sort of think, you know, if someone's done something, it's not really that big a deal. But if someone complains about it, you have to. It's like the noise of them. He was like, what do you want me to do? Get rid of it? I was like, yeah, kind of.
We're so lucky we're in the middle of the country because we've 20 bird houses, you know, and the noise.
Yeah, look,
It
I
can
always
be noisy.
think, I know it must have been terrible for you, but I think it's nice that people at least have a passion, you know, to put their energy into.
Yeah,
give
no, I
it something to do.
nice.
So that was always. I just hated going to people that I didn't think they were doing anything wrong. But you know,
Yeah.
if someone
Yeah.
complain, you have to. What are you going to do about this? Like, well, can you just let them
Let them
do
turn
it? Do you know
on.
what I mean? It's like, just let them go and like see the birds that you have. Is it constant noise? Do you just get any? Are you just
No,
used
at
to
night,
it?
you
now?
know, it is
Yeah.
quiet at night.
Depends if you ask her son, he would disagree.
Yeah, you know, her son's the typical 18-year-old that, you know,
Uh-huh.
if he's wanting to sleep until 11, 12
Yeah.
o'clock in the middle of the day, why is the bird making noise at 11 o'clock in the middle of the morning, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Well,
It's daytime, they're up,
Yeah.
and they're probably trying to get to do a bit of work.
yeah. 'Cause-
But no, they can make a bit of noise, but nothing that's
It's
too
normally
major.
if we're coming down the lane, they'll hear the van or the jeep.
Yeah.
So then they'll start to make noise, and just because they're wanting us to go over to them.
Yeah.
So that's
And feed
normally
them.
when and
Yeah.
feed them.
And what can you like do? You know, like when you come in the door, the dogs are like, oh, and you go give them
And
a
pet them.
Do you have something like that? Do you go over and be like, there you go?
They
Well-
don't like physical affection, like
No.
No.
they don't take physical affection
But
to
they
them.
do like us going over to them and
Yeah,
talking
they'll
to
go
them.
over and have a chat
Yeah.
with them, but you know, in the wild, a bird of prey gets touched for two
Yeah.
reasons. It's either getting ate or bred with, and we
Yeah.
don't do any with the birds.
Yeah, it sounds like an old man. They're just happy to come in and have a chat, but don't touch me.
Don't touch me.
Just leave me.
It's like my granda.
Yeah. But I think like I remember seeing a thing on Twitter this week and it was like in movies, like actual is it the golden like eagle or
Yeah.
the big eagles
Yeah,
don't make good noises. They actually the noise they make's like
yeah, like a
but
chirp,
the actual
chirp,
the proper ones are like it's like a
a red-tailed hawk.
A hawk.
They
I would
always
love to
use
hear
the
you do that
red-tailed
again.
hawk.
Though.
Like a turkey.
Because I mean that wouldn't be like if you saw a bird coming towards you, it's going. You'd go, oh, no. And if it's going,
You would come and get some.
like, so it's
I can take this bird.
yeah, but I mean, I think that's when they need to be more realistic with that. I think
Yeah.
in films, like let them just have
Their own voice.
Their own
Let
voice,
them have their
yeah.
own voice.
It's like Milli Vanilli, you know, like don't
It's-
just because they can't.
It's
make
like
the
somebody
noise.
that's maybe it's like the olden days where they had a really bad looking singer, so they just
Yeah.
put a good looking person to mime and
Yeah.
their voice behind it.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's not fair.
But see, I love wee
Birds
facts
have
like
rights
that.
too.
You know, because in my head, before I'd spoken to you today, I thought birds kill toddlers. They can eat left cows. They all sound devastating.
And they all sound.
yeah. But,
Well, we actually do TV and movie work with the birds as well. The last bird we had was in the Northman actually,
right, okay.
with Nicole Kidman
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Alexander Skarsgård. So we're looking into doing a bit more of that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you get to see any of them, or were you sort of just with like some of the other?
Yeah, well, it
cast?
was actually one of our friends, a good friend of ours. He
Yeah.
took the birds down in for us because we had other commitments on that
I
day.
think the
but-
bird was treated better than the movie
Yeah,
stars.
I think at one stage, you know, the movies, you know, like it's Nicole Kidman, the big Vikings were all standing in these huge, big, you know, bear suits and
Yeah.
stuff, and the heat and the lights and stuff coming on, and the sweat's dripping off
Yeah.
them. And meanwhile, the bird's sitting there with one of the guys underneath with a fan up
Yeah.
towards the bird. And every 5 minutes, going to think the bird needs a break. And everybody else was told to stay still in front of the lights, and the bird
Yeah.
was going out, getting a wee drink, a wee snack, and then back in again underneath the lights again.
See, I
So
bet you all them because they're in the movies think the same thing I think about things. They're like, just don't move. It'll get
don't
you.
move, it'll kill you.
Yeah, it'll get you.
And then done a bit for Kevin Hart as well when he was over.
Oh, nice. Yeah, did he
so-
come and see them or did he?
No, we got rid of the pest
Well,
birds
he,
out
he,
of.
he did come round to see them, but
yeah.
not in a picture type.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
No.
we do pest control of the birds of prey as well. You see,
Okay.
so it's an environmental way of getting rid of pest species. So
Uh-huh.
your pigeons out of warehouses or gulls on top of roofs. You know, so
Yeah.
one of our contracts used to have 3,000 gulls sitting on
Uh-huh.
top of their big warehouse. You know, and the mess and
Yeah,
the smell
stinking,
and everything
yeah.
they can do. So we went down there and the noise, or the sound engineer was cracking up. He was saying
Uh-huh.
every time we go to record something, all I can hear is jackdaws, you know,
Yeah.
crows in the background chirping.
Yeah.
And when we're wasting film here, so we went in with the hawks and we were getting rid of them, and it was for Kevin Hart's movies. Yeah,
Very
so,
nice. Yeah.
so it's nice to do different things like that with
Yeah.
the hawks as well.
I also want to debunk the myth if a bird poos on you, it's like 7 years good luck.
Yeah.
I want to debunk
It
that.
doesn't
No.
work. We have not won the lottery, and
No.
we've been shit on it.
A lot.
We have
Yeah.
a lot.
And which ones did the pick shit? So the ones you're like, oh no, this is just.
The eagles.
Yeah, the eagles.
Yeah.
The eagles.
Also the eagle owl though,
Yeah,
or
you see
it would
the-
be quite.
They normally give you a good warning though when they
Yeah.
lift
Yeah.
their tail up.
Yeah.
You just don't want to be behind them because that shoots
Shoots.
about 3 feet.
Normally, if he's holding the bird, you want to stand where I am because I know what's coming out.
Yeah.
So you always stand beside me.
Oh no, I would not like to because do they shit like normal birds, like just big monkey bird shit, or do they do turds?
So,
No, they
what
shit
way
like
do you
normal
think?
birds,
Yeah.
But I heard how you think birds sound, so I
Yes.
need to know what birds sound. So it's that white
Yeah.
projectile shit is pretty
Yes.
much what it is. So they lift their tail and they can project that 3 feet in one direction.
Oh my goodness! And the bigger ones, you'd assume just
You
have
get drowned. Yeah.
lovely. And the what goes into like cleaning them? Like,
A
do
lot
you
of
have to
work.
get into that? That sounds like a day's
Yeah,
job
it's a
itself.
lot of work. A lot of work.
Because I remember
Bacterial cleaning and walls scrubbed and
Yeah. Purchase spray down.
Yeah, 'cause we
child labour. Though we have a good few kids.
Nice. How old age are your kids?
We've ranging from 23 down to 7, and then a granddaughter at 5. So
Nice.
Yeah.
So you have a good squad there.
Yeah.
We
To,
do.
child labour's great.
yeah, because
Get them out there,
my
get them
4 or
started.
5-year-old, I don't know quite what age she is. She's good for stuff, but the 2-year-old she's like, nah, fuck it, I'm not doing it. You know, she likes to wreck things, and she'll do it while she's. So she went over to her bookshelf the other day, and she knew the books were there, and she was just looking at me going. And then she
I
was
love
like,
that
what are you gonna do?
stage.
It's like, she's wild.
What are you gonna do about it, big lad?
Yeah, and I said, well, actually nothing. As long as you're not making noise, I'm winning. You know. That's, but
Our granddaughter used to get pens and just draw over the wall, and
Draw
they'd be
over the
like,
walls.
"No, nah," and I used to be like, "That's amazing," because they draw on the wall, it comes off. It's no big deal.
no, I don't. The worst thing, I still again touch wood. Nothing like that has happened yet with the kids. But I went out one day and came in when the dog was only a pup, and he's a golden retriever, so he's really white. And I went in, and he was just like sitting on paws like this, and I said, why is your face pink? And I said, his whole face was fluorescent pink, his paws. He got out a highlighter, and he just ate in the highlighter. And I thought, right, I can't tell her what's happened here. She can't come home and see his dog just. So I thought I'd get him the bath, and he just does not like baths.
Yeah.
He absolutely hates it. So I don't know how I wrecked the whole bathroom, flooded the bathroom trying to
Yeah.
wash him, and he was just a nightmare. And I remember when he was really small, when he just got him, Catherine was big into like her previous dog was just her and the Shih Tzu Charlie, and she would just like wash them and groomed them, and that would have been part of her week, getting them all fancy. She thought, I'm going to do the same with him. So we got him, and she was like, I'm going to take him out the back and wash him with a hose.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I need to tie him to something to wash him. So it was, in her head, I don't know how this ever seemed to make sense to her. She wants, I'll tie him to the barbecue gas canister.
Oh.
And she's like, he'll be fine. He's
You're
only
not
wee.
going to pull that.
I looked out the window and he's just running around the garden.
The gas canister is chasing him
If
in
like that hits a
circles.
corner, we're gone. You're dead. He's dead. House is dead. I remember she was, oh no. So I did washed him yesterday. We let him out, and he just loves to get into the mud.
Yeah.
Washed him yesterday. We got a new bench out the back and tied him that, and he was.
It
he
gives
was
them
grand,
character
like.
though, doesn't it?
Oh, he's great. He is great. Like, but he just loves to wreck
We've Charlie, our male Harris hawk, and he's the one that does all the, he literally go through 2 people holding their hands like this together in a square, and he'll bomb through it.
Is he the money maker? He's
the one. The whole business he was the foundation. The business started on. So he's like a
Charlie is
charity
worth more money than anyone could ever offer you for.
Yeah.
I mean, he just is.
He is the
Yeah,
business.
he is the business.
Yeah.
And I can remember we started out with the hawk walks, and one day, this lady was wearing a bobble hat, with one of the wee bobbles and
Yes.
and it was rabbit coloured. And I never even twigged, and while we were out in the walk, all of a sudden Charlie came down and lifted this bobble off the top of her hat and destroyed it.
Yeah.
So after a while we started to go, right, we can't have bobble hats then. If clients are there, ask them to turn them inside out, things like that. And I remember this lady turning up with 2 wee girls. I'm sorry if you ever watch this podcast again. And I said to her, look, could you just take the hats off for me with the baubles?
Yeah.
Are they removable? She says, no, they're not removable. And I says, well, can you get the girls to either take them off or turn them inside out so the bauble's inside so the bird can't see it? She goes, no, definitely not. We're getting photos taken here. I says, well, look, it's for safety reasons because the bird will see that as a target and he might come down and try to take it off the beaker's head.
Might eat your kid's head, like,
And
Well, no, we just wouldn't want the child being scared.
Yeah. And she says, no. She says, definitely not. We'll take the chance.
Yeah.
While the kids are going, we'll take the chance. You're speaking for us. So I was like, okay. So I knew he wasn't going to, come down and take the head off the child, So we were out flying. We were walking through part of the forest and Charlie was sitting way up high. And about his body language, you see him going like this here, and the head starts and his tail starts wiggling. He's like, I'm onto something. I'm like, here it goes. And I shut my eyes because I knew it was going to happen. And he just came down, sped down as fast as he could, glided over the top of one of the wee girls' heads, put one foot down, lifted the hat off her head, and swooped about 30 feet up on the tree. Sat for the next 10 minutes stripping the bauble off it.
Yeah.
And see, as soon as he finished, you could nearly see him putting his foot out behind and just dropping it. And it fell through the ground, and the wee girl went and picked up, and I says, "Oh, so they are removable."
And was she apologetic then, or was she like, "Oh, sorry"?
They actually thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
The two kids thought it was brilliant.
It's normally the kids that find it really funny.
You have some of the birds that are just comical, like Charlie and Oracle would be.
His nickname is Cheeky Charlie.
Yeah.
And he's called
so the
that
personality side of them is fantastic.
Yeah. See, that's what I like, because again, I think like for anyone who would be looking to go and get an experience, what is it that you offer as a?
So we do a couple of different experiences. So the hawk walk is mainly getting to know an individual bird, such as the harris hawk, so Charlie or Belle or Ember. She's only 6 months old, so it's about getting somebody out with a glove, and you become the falconer for the full hour. You're flying the bird for that hour. You know, that bird's coming in through the trees and over the top of the ponds and stuff around Brecon Hill, which is a beautiful location, coming back onto the glove, learning about the history of falconry, a 4,000-year-old tradition, you know, right from Kazakhstan, Mongolia, right through medieval times, right through to modern falconry. So a lot of information, and you really get to enjoy the aspect of being the falconer. Then we do a full falconry experience, which is an hour and a half, which is a group experience, or you can book it privately. Where we bring out the likes of the barn owl, we have the Eurasian eagle owl,
the little owl.
The little owl.
Is that the monkey owl?
The monkey owl, the one that turned into an owl after being a monkey. You know, she's 4.5 foot wingspan. And we get people on a nice summer's day. We have them lying like sleepers on a train track, and she's flying inches over their heads. You know, flying over, and you can feel the wind off her wings. It's beautiful. And then we bring out the golden eagle. We do a bit of conservation chat about the golden eagles. Then we fly the harris hawks and do wee tricks with Charlie, you know. And then we end off with a fast flying falcon that's flying past you, maybe over 100 miles an hour past the clients. So
we obviously do photography days as well.
Photography days, hunting days.
You
can go out for a full day's hunting and actually see what they do in the wild, you know.
And
maybe
then
catch their food.
The art of falconry.
The art of falconry is another half-day experience where you're at the house, and a day in the life of me doing what we do around the house, or Joe, you know, looking after the birds, training the birds.
We don't make people clean any birds out now.
Yeah.
That's the one thing we don't ask them to do.
But it's more about the training aspect of the birds, what we do in the background.
Well, that would actually be a smart move. Just like this is the experience. Come on and clean the cages, and then just be like, well, that's the experience.
Do you know what? We may add that in as part of the experience.
At the minute, the most fun one at the minute, we're teaching the birds how to chase an RC plane. So it's like Top Gun. It's an RC plane designed for falconry that carries the lure or a wing of a bird that they like to chase. And they're both up in the sky chasing this, you know, RC plane around. It's good crack. Like.
At the moment, we're very good at flying the plane, and we're very good at flying the bird. The two together is interesting.
Challenging. The birds can fly better than I can fly the plane.
And is it just like a remote control job you have?
Remote control plane.
Because again, you've seen all these horror stories of people having like drones, and then be like, "This is how." Oh no, crash drone. So like, if you had that bit of kit, do you have to? A lot of pressure if you're going to bust it.
Well, it flies at 120 miles an hour, and the birds can be chasing it over that.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Now they're unbelievable. But what we will do, we will share the link to your whatever page you want to get on the hawk walks and get a experience, because that's one thing I definitely want to get in. I want to go out and do it.
You have to. You're more than welcome.
I think we'll do that.
We also have to bring you up a surprise.
A surprise?
Yes.
Now?
Yeah.
Yes, I think
it's
so.
going to take me a couple of minutes to do it. But I'll go down.
Listen,
and
let's give me a surprise. Mine's a shirt or something. I'm open to a surprise.
Okay. Good.
So David's just gone to get me a surprise. He's told me to put the camera up. Is it going to be like
all we need to do is put this on.
What is this?
Put it on your left hand.
Oh no.
This is a big glove.
Oh dear. And is this to get the t-shirt for Hawk Hawks?
It is, yeah.
And that you've got for me? Oh no. Oh no. Oh wow.
So this is Loki.
Hello, Loki.
I can hear the voice changing there. Hello, Loki. So if you come round this way a wee bit.
Loki's got talents.
I'm going to have him sitting on your glove. So if you open your hand, I'm going to sit him just in there.
Oh no. He's lifting his tail here. He's not going to...
There you are.
Oh wow. Hello, mate. He's not going to poke my eyes out in there?
No, he's not.
No.
So he is an 18-month-old golden eagle.
Oh wow.
he is one of our birds that is on our experiences here at the minute, teaching people about these birds coming back into the van.
I'm just protecting in case.
Does this feel like that Staffy moment?
I mean, it does.
Recreating.
But he's like bobbing his head, and
This is very unusual to him in the likes of this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is what worries me. See, when you go, it's unusual for him. See the lights, and I watched a film there recently that they had a horse in it, and the horse didn't like it, and then he just bolted and killed everyone. So,
you were waiting for that moment.
Yeah, just I don't touch him with anything else. Just keep the hands away.
Just keep your hand just like that.
I'm cool. Just keeping this here.
So it would be an absolute pleasure having you out with us.
Yeah,
it really would. And you can see a few more birds.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. No, definitely your wife Catherine and your kids will love it.
Yeah, I mean, he's weighty, all right, isn't he? Surprisingly,
he's about 8 pounds of pure muscle.
He is. I actually have
see the size of his feet.
I have similar leather straps for my own ankles that I just wear in private, but it's a good look. And does he go touch me with his head?
No, he's grand.
He is.
He's good.
Can I just keep him here as a mascot?
Just sitting in the corner for a while. Before he takes off here with one of the mics.
Where? I know. He fancies. The big wings. Just don't let him link. Lift his tail. Nice to meet you.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Bring him just running around a wee bit. Listen, so David, Joe, thank you very much. Loki,
thank you.
Big respect. Come on around in there. Thank you for coming on. Yes. And if anybody wants to check out what our Dog Walks NI, he's coming to himself. Hawk Walks NI. The link will be in the description of the video. I will put some clips out of this guy as well. And, yeah.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Thank you.
I'm the sly guy.